We continue to get you ready for the final game of the season. Orange on the road at Notre Dame on Saturday. Brad Higgins here across town in the football auditorium is senior wideout Nykeim Johnson. And Nykeim, you've been around here for a while, so I'll ask you to try to evaluate here the last 3 months or so. What has this season been like to be a part of?
It's definitely been something to learn from. We faced a lot of adversity this year. So, with that being said, we got a lot of things to go back to the drawing board to make sure we learn and then get done. So, with that being said, I'm happy for it. I'm just waiting for the next season.
I'd say in most years you get to the end of the season and the judgment of the year is the record and not much more than that. And we know you guys wanted more wins than this year, but it feels like there's a lot of other things to judge a year like this by. Does it feel like that to you guys on the team as well?
Yeah, for sure. It's a lot of things that went on around us. It's a lot of things that happened on the team. So, when things are going south and going a lot of different ways, we just got to make sure we stay focused. So, we're just going to keep doing what we're doing right now. Just trying to finish out strong.
Did Saturday against NC State kind of feel like the team was showing that fight? Because a couple games ago against Louisville, when you guys get shut out, that's got to be dispiriting. You're seeing it. There's 2 games left. It could have been easy if you felt like it to pack it in and say, we're done here. And you guys didn't do that. What did that say about the group you have this year?
It just showed who we are. That's our real identity, man. We went out there and fought, and that's what we're going to continue to do. We're going to do that this week. We're going to make sure we go out there and try to play our best game. And when we do that, we're just going to see what happens at the end.
Kind of started here by saying we're with senior Nykeim Johnson, and we talked about that earlier this year, what it might mean and what your options are. I know some of the other seniors on the team, I didn't see you out there, took kind of that last lap around the field after the game. What were your thoughts there in the locker room after the game, and as it may have been, depending on what you decide, your last game in the Dome?
I was upset about the outcome or what happened from the game, but as far as decision making, I'm just gonna kind of just play it slow and just keep waiting and see what happens for me in the near future.
So I won't ask you what your decision is. I'll ask you, how do you go about making that decision? Because hey, you've been here 4 years. You put in your work. You could go on your way with the rest of your life now. But how do you go on deciding whether you want to come back for a 5th year?
It's a lot of conversations that had to be had. I have to talk to my family. I have to talk with the coaches. I have to talk with everybody that's on my side and on my team. So with that being said, and once I have those conversations, then we're gonna see where we're gonna go from there.
I'll say the same thing to you. I've said to every senior here in the last few weeks. Each way, I guess, has its merits. So good luck making your decision, Nykeim, and whichever way you go with it. Certainly wishing you the best. And if you're back here next year, also good. We'd love to see you around again. So either way is good here. When we talked a few weeks ago, we kind of went into how frustrated you were with how last season went mentally for you, where we know you were banged up, and then that made the season a struggle mentally. How big has it been for you this season, one, to be healthy out there, and 2, you're back to making big plays? How does that help you get through the year here, that you're putting up kind of the big plays we saw you make a couple seasons ago?
I'm definitely happy to get back in my groove, but we want to come out with W's, and if that means that I can do a lot more to help the team, then I definitely would want to do that. So, I'm not really too high or too low about the plays that I'm making this season, because that's what I'm supposed to do. My job is to go out there and make plays anyway, so I'm not too big on that.
Hit me with a play that one of your teammates made this last week. We saw Trevor Pena house a kickoff return. We've seen you take bunts to the house before. This guy went 98 yards on a kick. Take me through what you saw on that one.
I just seen the guy go from point A to point B. That's what I seen. That's all I seen, bro. He started and he just, I'll see you later.
That's a pretty good way to describe it. We know people have a tough time catching you on the field out there, Nykeim. It was interesting watching the play. It looked like that some NC State guys had the angle on him, and they didn't know how fast he was, right?
No, they ain't know. I don't think they watched the tape.
Hey, it's on tape now what Trevor did last week, going 98 yards. Hey, that was the first Syracuse kickoff return for a touchdown in 9 long years. So Trevor making some history last week. Let me hit you on the idea of the quarterbacks. We know how tough it is for not just Syracuse, for any football team, college, pro, or otherwise, to win when they don't have their starter in there. How have you guys handled it this year, going from Tommy to Rex and Jacoby and now back to Rex? What is the challenge of not having your number one guy in there?
I mean, it's just like a timing thing. We just got to make sure every day we giving them the same look. So if I run a route one way one time, I got to make sure I'm doing that every time that I run it, so those guys can get used to where I want to be and how to throw the ball to me or stuff like that. So it's just like a day in and day out thing, making sure I'm consistent with what I'm doing, so they can be consistent in how they make their throws and reads.
All right, Nykeim, it's Notre Dame this week. You played them a couple of years ago down at Yankee Stadium, but it's always a little bit different here when you hit the road and go to Notre Dame Stadium. What are your thoughts about just generally the matchup and everything that goes into playing Notre Dame on a given year?
I'm ready for the opportunity. I mean, it's definitely gonna be a big game, but when those big games come, big time players just gotta make sure they're ready. So I'm definitely just gonna make sure I'm ready and focused and locked in. So when the times and the kickoff starts, I'm ready to go.
All right, Nykeim, we know how much you guys value playing the best. You were on the road at #1 Clemson earlier this year. This is #2 Notre Dame. Never before in Syracuse football history have you played #1 and #2 in the same season. What's it like to have those kind of opportunities in front of you this year?
Oh yeah, I mean it just shows what the type of team that we have and the type of conference that we play in. Those guys are tough guys. I mean, and with that being said, we just got to make sure we go out there and just put our best foot forward. Playing the #1 team, playing the #2 team, or playing the worst team in the country, we just got to make sure we going out there and trying to get our job done, executing the plan, and just having fun and flying around.
All right, lastly, Nykeim, let me ask you this. The season wraps up on a Saturday, regardless of how it goes here this week. How do you guys as a team take everything that's happened all this year and spin it forward? I mean, we know how many young guys have gotten opportunities that they wouldn't have otherwise this year. How does this year set up Syracuse football for the future?
I mean, we just got to soak in all the knowledge and everything that we have learned from this year. So, I mean, yeah, we had a bad season and a losing season, but that doesn't mean anything. It's a lot of growth that can be done from that. So we just got to watch the tape, think about everything that happened every game, and just try to keep pushing forward. We can't harp on the losses and worry about what happened this season, because if we do, we're going to just stay, in the same spot. So we don't want to do that. We want to keep progressing and moving forward. So we just got to make sure it's just been in the best shape we can be, been mentally focused that we can be, and make sure we're doing everything right so we can get the job the next year.
All right, Nykeim, good stuff. And hey, you got a chance to go out with a bang here this Saturday, so enjoy it this week.
Yes, sir, man. I appreciate you.